a good example is the wolf warrior diplomats, the diplomats who go on Twitter, go give speeches, attack people verbally, have even physical presence. Realistically, they are the shock troops. They're not diplomats in the traditional sense. They are very much the shock troops of the regime. There's this pride. You disagree with China, you're against China. There is no, we can disagree, but we still respect you, a narrative. They just won't come at that. Or the greed or that uncontrolled longing for power or material gain. And I'm thinking of Belt and Road, where you've got this neo-colonialist expansion of China, where China offers millions upon billions of dollars, effectively equivalent of finance, but their workers come and build things.
Yes,
they get the benefit, but you finish up like being indebted to the mafia. You owe them money, you owe them obligation. You have to play ball, and it doesn't matter if they build a port in Sri Lanka or they do something in Pakistan, or they're in well over a dozen countries across Africa. It's all about control and power. And in some ways, these values are toxic because it's bad for China and for the people of China, as well as the community of nations. I mean, I think the aggressiveness, the destructive emotion of the way the Communist Party operates, and I'm not saying that because it's only communism. We all know that there are political movements that are extreme. We know politicians as a class in Western countries can be some of the most uninspiring, underwhelming individuals. We all have examples of a poor leader or a person who maybe shouldn't be in politics. But when you have a regime that is so aggressive, so committed to stamping out any alternative viewpoint, and that's how they carry themselves in international relations. And I'm thinking of conflict with India over the high Himalayan mountains, conflict over Taiwan, flying in Taiwanese designated airspace because they don't recognize Taiwan as even a neighboring country, let alone, a sovereign nation. And it's this level. I think, the story of Jack Ma, classic example of what could be the envious schadenfreude of literally watching somebody who was big, powerful, a billionaire, somebody of global status, and he's in jail. He's ruined financially. His family's under threat. It's sending a message.
Is he? So I know that he disappeared in other celebrities, but I've not heard anything. I haven't explored the issue, but I've not heard anything more. As far as you know, he has been jailed and he's disappeared off.
If he hasn't been jailed, it's the sort of coercive security arrangement that anybody in Wisconsin, anybody in Manitoba, anybody in Western Australia would say, this looks and smells like jail. Whether or not there's been a judicial system decision. The idea that somebody so prominent is publicly walked into custody and disappears from sight in such a manner, that should send a chill down the backbone of anyone who's even vaguely prominent in Chinese society. I mean, we know that there's this lust for power that China is playing for, because if it's not a position at Interpol, or it's not a position at the WHO, or if it's not changing a certain country's view about whether or not Taiwan is a sovereign nation. Therefore, let's try to bully, harass, or intimidate, or even just bribe people to change their views. It's these sorts of characteristics that make China a big player in everyone's considerations. I am sure that the China of today is more effective, more of a threat than the Soviet Union of the 1980s, for the simple reason they have so much of the best Western technology, much of it secured through, let's call it, unorthodox means. They have such an advanced society with technology, with infrastructure, and yet they've got weaknesses in their society. They've got a massive credit overhang. They've got empty cities that don't have enough investment now. And their one-child policy has created 30, 40, 45 million men who will never find a partner in life. And, these are some major elements that create the benchmark or the landscape for aggression, for risk-taking, and for really, really bad outcomes.